Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
All right. Hey, guys. Welcome back to our show. Once again, I'm your host, John Harkar, and I'm here today with Luke Michelson. Mickelson or Michelson? Hope I said it the right way.
Mickelson like the golfer, brother.
Mickelson like the golfer. All right. And today what we're going to talk about, this is a unique topic, guys. It's not necessarily based on real estate, but it's about child bedlessness. And it's something that's a problem that is going on in our society today, and Luke here is trying to combat that. But remember, guys, at Investor Fuel, we help real estate agents, service providers, kind of all real estate entrepreneurs, really, 2 to 5x their business by providing tools and resources to build the business they want to build and kind of have that life they want to live. So, Luke, welcome to our show, man.
Thank you, sir. It's great to be here, John.
Yeah, it was awesome. I found out that you're in Idaho. You're in southern Idaho. I'm in, I guess you want to say, central Idaho. But I'm super excited to talk about this topic. It's not something I've really heard a lot about. But thinking about it, I could just imagine the scope of the problem. But before we get into all that, just kind of tell us a little bit about you, your background, and kind of what got you here.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks for having me on. And I know this is not your audience's normal discussion, but I promise at the end that they're going to understand how the real estate agents, real estate market, those people that work in the really help and have helped in the past, hope to help in future what we do. So yes, I'm from Twin Falls, Idaho, actually from a little small town called Kimberly, about 4,000 people. Mm-hmm. And, in a small town, you get to know everybody. So growing up, it was great, right? As a farm kid, got to work on the farm and play all the sports. If you know how to throw a ball somewhat accurately in these small schools, yeah, you kind of had to play sports. So. Right. Which is great. I loved it, and really I attribute some of that along with the big teachings from my mom that I enjoyed serving people, working with people, being on teams, the value of and the joy that comes when you bring a bunch of people together for a common cause. I didn't know back then, really, that's kind of, I feel, was preparing for me for what I do now, my true passion, which is build beds for kids. And so I'm really grateful for that. And I was raised by a single mom. So that plays a big part in how Sleeping MVP started for me, which really 13 years ago in 2012, I served in my church as what's called a young men's president. In the South, a lot of people would call that like a youth pastor, although right. I don't consider myself a youth pastor. I'm more of a coach, bro.
Hey, whatever you want to call yourself, it's all good as long as you're doing what you're meant to do.
But I really enjoyed working with the kids. Yeah. But I really enjoyed working with the kids and doing activities with them. And so they put me as a young men's president, which basically was responsible for the spiritual growth as well as the activity arm of the church, right? And at the time, that activity was Boy Scouts. So I was kind of like the leader over the leader of the Boy Scouts, which some of the challenges with being a Boy Scout leader, every Boy Scout leader out here knows what I'm talking about, is trying to find a fun activity that doesn't involve a screen or even a sport, which is difficult, and one that can teach them something. Well,
stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
When I was sitting in our auxiliary meetings with the other leadership of the church, we talked about families that we're helping. Well, one particular family, they talked about how they were helping them with their rent and food and transportation, and the kids didn't have any beds and they didn't have any toys. And I said, wait a minute, did you just say those kids didn't have any beds? And I don't know, it just really hit me. I'd never heard that before. You know, and it hit me so much. I started thinking about my own kids, how they, and I've slept on the floor before, but how if I had my kids sleeping on the floor day in and day out, that'd be rough, right?
Yeah. As a father, you're just like, ew, you know?
Oh, yeah. And we see that every day, right?
Yeah.
So I just knew, A, I had to do something, and B, what a great opportunity for us to get Xbox controllers out of these boys' hands, and let's put a drill and a sander. Let's teach these kids something. Now, I'll be honest with you, I was a little worried that this was going to be one of those, come on, boys, and then I end up having to do it all.
Yeah, you're the one doing all the work.
Every scout leader knows what I'm talking about. But really, honestly, John, it was amazing to see these kids light up, right? I know it was because they know and they knew that this was going to go to a child. And so they came over a couple of nights that week and we built this bunk bed, and it was super fun. We had a great time. I didn't get to go on the delivery because I was in my garage. So I had to clean up all the sawdust and junk like that. But the next day at church, they came and their parents went, all the other leaders, they talked about how amazing this experience was and how these kids just lit up. And I'll be honest with you, I was a little jealous, man. I did all the work and didn't get all the reward. But my reward at the time really was just these boys, right? I wanted them to feel the joy of service and enjoy what they had. Well, the true story is Christmas time, and every parent that's got kids knows this scenario where you're sitting on the couch and a new Xbox comes on for advertisement, and I could read my kids' minds of, ooh, I know what I want for Christmas.
Salivating.
Oh yeah, you know it. They're looking up at me, Dad, what do you think? And for me personally, I was going through this kind of midlife crisis. I don't know what that means other than I wasn't unhappy with my life. I wasn't unhappy in my job. I was going through a little bit of a faith crisis. Who am I? And I just couldn't fill this hole that was in my heart. I'd do service, I'd coach kids, and those were all really great things. And on paper, you'd think, man, there was nothing for me to complain about. And there really wasn't. There was just something. And when I built that bed, that first bunk bed with the Boy Scouts, I felt just this overwhelming joy of service, working with the boys, and then to solve a problem. What I didn't know is how big this problem really was. So I'm sitting on the couch, going through this, this turmoil in my brain, just, super excited that we just delivered this bed, but also feeling this hole come back in my heart. And then my kids look up and they want a new Xbox. And it was a perfect storm, John. It just hit me just right. And I just was like, you know what? No, we're going to go out in the garage right now. I got up, started walking to the garage, and everybody's like, where are you going, Dad? And I'm like, you know what? We got leftover wood. I'm going to build another bunk bed, and you're going to help me. Because I wanted those guys, these kids of mine, to see and enjoy the same thing the Boy Scouts did, the joy of service.
Right.
And of course, to remember what they had, right? You've got a bed to sleep in for crying out loud.
Grateful, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we don't need another Xbox. And so we did it. And the same thing happened. Just had a wonderful experience with my kids. And, they were only 10 and 6 at the time. I got this couple of pictures of me drilling with my little daughter in her tutu. It was super fun.
That's cool.
But then here I am with this bunk bed. I have no idea what to do with it.
That's what I was gonna. Oops, sorry about that. I was gonna ask, like, did you have like another family planned out? I mean, how did you find where that next bed was going?
Totally clueless. Had no idea.
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency. It's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
I had just heard about this one family because I happened to be in a meeting. And so someone recommended, well, why don't you throw it on Facebook, one of those buy, sell, trade groups, and I said, say free bed. And I was like, I'm not much of a Facebook guy. I know if you put anything free out there, I'm going to get every Tom, Dick, and Harry. Oh, yeah. And this, what happened next was pretty interesting. So we put it on there, and yeah, I got some of that. But what I didn't expect was how many people, friends, old friends, talking 20-year-old friends calling me up, messaging me saying, this is awesome. How can I help? And that was really surprising to me. I don't know why. I just didn't expect that. But then one of my friends reached out and said, hey, Luke, I have the perfect family. And this is my Haley story. So this was my first delivery. So Haley and her mom were homeless. Haley, 6 years old, John, never slept in a bed, ever.
Jeez.
Think about that. Never slept in a bed, 6 years old. She's been sleeping in the backseat of her mom's car. And then, of course, couch diving friends and family here and there, right? Well, they finally got a house. And so I was so jacked to bring this little Haley her first bed. And when we showed up, we walked into this house. They just got there. They'd only been there for a couple of weeks. Well, there was nothing in the house. There was a hot plate sitting on a milk carton, and it had a can of soup on it. And that was the only furniture in the house. That was it. Man. And I'd never seen. I'd seen homelessness, transitioning homelessness, poverty, that kind of stuff. But I'd never seen it through the eyes of a 6-year-old. And that was a step back, a big step back. Well, this little Haley pulls us into her room, and it was really funny. Mike Rowe, he's the one that really kind of got us launched nationwide. And I was on his podcast last year, and he says, I was thinking about what you guys do, and he said, we call people's and these kids their bedroom, but if they don't have a bed in it, then it's just a room, right? It's like the living room or the kitchen. It's just a room. And that really sunk to me. And I thought back on my experience with Haley. I walked into her room, and that's all it was. It was a room that had holes in the carpet and tears in the wallpaper and, secondhand toys in the closet. There was no furniture other than, and I shouldn't laugh. It's just, it keeps me from crying. In the corner was a nest of clothes, just her school clothes. And that was the bed she slept on. And it just blew me away. Like I was speechless, and I could just see the weeks and weeks that this little girl had been sleeping on her clothes. And so needless to say, we were super excited to bring this bed. And as we started putting this bed together, and we see this all the time. These little kids, there's a lot of apprehension, right? Because strangers in their room building something, they don't know what it is until they realize it's a bed. And that apprehension quickly turns into appreciation and then excitement. And this little 6-year-old started hugging us, hugging the bed, kissing the bed. I'd never seen that before. It was so cool. We were so honored. And if that incredible. Wasn't enough to, tear your heart open, right? I look up and here's mom, single mom. And I was raised by a single mom. So, man, I was crying right with her. 6 years of tears just pouring down her face, right? You could just see it. And John, right then I learned this is far more than just a bed. It's far more than just a good night's sleep. This is helping families, confidence, worries that these parents and these, these children just suffer for, lack of confidence in themselves. And it's just more than a good night's sleep. And
yeah,
after we left that house, we were in Burley, so we were about 30 minutes away. And me and my buddy didn't say anything to each other the whole ride.
I can imagine just what was going through each of your minds.
Oh, Yeah, and I'll tell you what, John, I'm one of these guys that, it's a Saturday afternoon.
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
College football buff. I love hunting and fishing. I'm from Idaho. How can you not, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And it was like, in an instant, none of that really mattered to me anymore. Because I kept thinking on the way home, as tears are running down my face, I just kept thinking, for the couple of hours, 2 or 3 nights a week, to build a bed and solve that problem, that's well worth my time. And so when I finally got home, I remember looked at my friend, I said, you know what? No kid is going to sleep on the floor in my town if I have anything to do with it. And what I didn't know was that resolution, that motto, is now our mission statement, was much bigger than I realized. And child bedlessness, now come to find out, there was no statistics anywhere, none, about how many children don't have beds. The only statistic, even today, is kind of the things that SHP's come up with, which we're not statisticians, but we know it's greater than 3% of the total population. So the Magic Valley down here, we're climbing to 100,000 people. There's 3,000 kids that are on the floor, and we've been doing this since 2012. We're getting close to, I think, about 2,000 kids that we've helped, but we're just scratching the surface of how many children out there are sleeping on the floor, on couches with mom and dad or brothers and sisters. They just don't have a bed of their own, and it's a hard thing to experience. I tell everybody, look, you can hear me or anybody talk about child bedlessness. You can even see videos, but until you're in the room with the child and you see these conditions that they're sleeping in, you spend half your life sleeping, really,
Yeah.
And just to think about sleeping on your own clothes or the concrete or
Unfathomable.
Yeah,
unfathomable for us and most of society. I mean, we shut our eyes to a lot of that stuff. Now, before you, there was nothing, right? There was no statistics. Were there any other charities or any other things focused on this at all?
It's a great question. So about 2013, after we only build one time a year in Christmas time. Well, after that Christmas build was done, because now it was going to be a charity, because we couldn't finance it ourselves, number one, and we had a lot of companies that wanted to help, but we had to be a charity for them to donate. So we're like, okay, and it got me thinking, well, I don't know how to run a charity. Maybe I'll talk to someone that builds beds as a charity as well. So I went hunting for a charity. It took me a while. I mean, it took a while to finally find only one charity in the whole country in North Carolina that was building beds, and I was a little jealous. They started a year earlier. They had a cool name. That's what I was jealous about. Their name was Beds for Kids, and I'm like, oh man, that'd be such a good name.
Yeah.
So I thought, you know what? I got a better name. I'm going to call it Beds for Babes. Not a good name, John.
My wife said, yeah. You say that.
No, you're not.
And what was the name of your company again?
So, we formed this, and this started around Christmas time, so what better lyric than what Silent Night offers as sleep in heavenly peace. And so
that's awesome.
Yeah. And that's what we felt. We wanted these kids, when you deliver a bed to these kids, we want them to sleep in heavenly peace. Because when we deliver beds, it's not just the frame. We build just twin size beds. The same bed is built in Hawaii as it's built in Canada, Bermuda, or Idaho. And so we build twin size beds that can be single or bunk bed. We furnish the whole thing: mattress, sheets, pillows, pillowcases. We don't leave the house when we deliver bed until that child can sleep in it. And quite often, John, it'll be 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Think about it. These kids have never had a bed before, and they're in bed sleeping at 5 in the afternoon. It's
sure.
If that doesn't tell you something about the need and the importance of what these beds do for these kids. I don't know what does,
So you started in the small town of Kimberly. I know right where you are. Where are you now? What's your business look like? And tell me, we talked a little bit before we got on here about, the impact that maybe some realtors, some brokers maybe that you've worked with had an impact in your cause. Share a little bit about that, where you're now and kind of how that helped.
Absolutely. So what's really important to understand is how we build these beds. We've now blown up with chapters all across the country. We're in four countries. We're in almost every single state. We've trained over 400 chapters, presidents. Since 2012, we've built nearly 300,000 beds. And because of our growth now, we're building almost 90,000 beds a year. That's how number one, that's how big the need is. But how we build these beds, these chapter presidents like Boise, Twin Falls, these chapter presidents, they go and raise money, and it costs about $300 for every bed. Again, that's everything: mattress, sheets, delivery, the whole 9 yards.
Sure.
But the way we build them is we bring the volunteers in from the community, and we actually take raw lumber, and we have our own tools and whatnot. We organize these what we call trains. It's kind of an assembly line, and we teach people how to build these beds. Some people have never touched a drill in their life, and we teach them how to build these beds.
That's awesome.
And what I found, John, is not only is child bedlessness may not be a real word, it's a real problem, but there's another thing I found, which I did not expect, which is, the news, social media, everything talks about how this world is just, so divided, and there's so many hard things and people mad, and it just makes this world sound so terrible. That's not my perspective. I see, gosh, I couldn't get that out. We deal with people. There are millions and millions of people that want to give back. They just don't know how.
Yeah.
And that's what we've been able to find. The happiest volunteer for us is the sweatiest and the dustiest. And that's because when people want to give back, they want to feel like they did something. So we actually organize these build days with companies that want to do team building exercises. They want to give back to the community. They just don't know how. And we can take 10 or 200 people at one time and put them to work for 4 hours and build 50 beds. No
that is
sweat.
So awesome.
It's so much fun. And where the realtor groups come in, and this is, I hope every one of you that are listening right now understand and can think about this. We get a lot of help from realtors. There's some of the best groups because you guys raise money like nobody's business. It's awesome. So we're super grateful for that. But then you're hard workers. A lot of times a realtor group comes together with all their team, all the other realtors, and it's a team building exercise. They raise money, and then they come and spend 3-4 hours building a bed for the kids in the communities that they serve. And so, I encourage every single realtor that's listening or a part of the real estate group or organization, find your local chapter, talk to them how you can, as a realtor group, come together, raise money, and then most importantly, help build beds with these kids. I've served, and I've heard from thousands and thousands of volunteers. We've had 500,000 volunteer hours just in the last 3-4 years. But each one of these volunteers, I've heard many stories where they've served other areas, soup kitchens, or or whatever it is, right? But time and time again, people have said that building beds with Sleep and Emily Peace was the funnest activity because we really have this down to a science. People show up, never touched a drill before. And they're screwing in screws, they're sanding wood, we stain the beds with this special stain, and they have such fun doing it. They want to do it every year, and so
that's so cool.
So if your agencies out there, your real estate groups are looking for an activity, help us raise $300 a bed. You can do a 20 bed build for $6,000 donation and bring your whole real estate group and build beds for your kids in your community.
And that's not a lot, but once again, I like the whole team building aspect of it. I mean, it's something that where you're not only building your team, but you're also making an impact in the community and to people's lives.
Yeah. For a long time.
You almost got me to tears a little bit earlier. And I love your servant's heart, and I love what you're doing. If there are people out here, and I pray that people out there will reach out. How do they get in touch with you? How do they find their local chapter? Is it just you go online, or how are they going to find them?
Great question. Great question. So when you go to our website, shpbeds.org, Sam, Harry, Paul, or, Sleep in Heavenly Peace, beds, plural.org. Your local chapter should be the one that comes up, right? So we've got, each chapter has its own quote Facebook, web page. In the top left-hand corner, it'll tell you what web page you're at. But GeoTrack, it should bring up let's say your Boise chapter, right? Mm-hmm. There you're going to see how many beds that is currently being requested. It'll be in the hundreds usually. You can see the success of the local chapter as well as the success of Sleep in Heavenly Peace nationwide. But the biggest thing is there'll be a couple of ways that you can connect, right? So when you go to shpbeds.org, number one, you can donate. Let's get that one out of the way. Of course, we need money. That's how we finance it. We're a charity, right?
Sure.
But the biggest thing we ask people to do is help us, raise awareness. We're so unknown, and child bedlessness is so unknown. There are families right now, across the street. Look, John, you're from Boise. You're 2 hours from where this thing started, and you didn't know SHP even existed. Yeah. That's the problem we're dealing with, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Help us raise awareness, because there's kids across the street that their families need to get beds for them, and they just don't know where to go. We are a resource for that. So help us raise awareness as well. If you want to volunteer, you can connect on Facebook. You can phone call the chapter president. You can message him and say, hey, look, we want to be a part of the build. There's actually a tab on our website that says request a build or apply for a build, sponsor a build, something like that. Mm-hmm. And you can click on that and then fill out the information. And then the chapter president will contact you if you want to do a build. And then if there happens to be no chapter close by, and this is something that really, pulls at your heartstrings and you want to be involved, you can actually start a chapter. We've made this super easy for people to learn how to start a chapter. We have a whole very, very robust, successful training program that people can go through. We actually send you down to Lehigh, Utah for a weekend. We teach you everything you need to know. And of course, we have a very robust training program that helps people learn how to be a chapter president, right? So those are awesome. A bunch of ways that you can be involved, and we really need them. The kids in your town really need help.
Yeah, guys, and anybody out there listening, I hope you reach out. I hope you help. Just help the cause. Once again, it's a problem I didn't know about, and what it sounds like is a massive, massive problem, especially if you have that many chapters all around the world or around the country. There's a big need. Luke, man, thank you so much for coming on and sharing this information. This has been awesome. Like I said, a little different talk than I'm used to having, but man, it hits home.
Appreciate it. Any ear, it doesn't matter what you do. You can be in the law enforcement, you can be in real estate. It doesn't really matter. We are humans helping humans, John, and these are little humans that need our help. These kids are in these situations, I promise you, not because of their choices, right? Yeah. And unfortunately, sometimes not because of the parents' choices. Just houses burned down, and women or spouses escape rough situations. It's a real thing. I promise you. It's in your hometown, and you can do something about it. Let us know how we can connect you with chapters, how you can jump in and help these kids out.
Awesome. All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed the show. I know I did. Luke, thank you again so much. And we'll see you on the next one, guys. Cheers.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.